You've called it a semi your whole life. That big vehicle in the left lane, the one taking up too much room on the on-ramp, the one you slow down for in bad weather. Semi. Everyone calls it that. Truckers call it that. News anchors call it that. If you searched for it right now, you'd type semi-truck without thinking twice. But here's the problem. Most people who use that word have no idea what it actually means. And when you find out, you'll realize the word semi isn't describing the truck at all. It's describing something else entirely, something that completely changes the way the whole machine works, why it's designed the way it is, and why the same idea is hiding inside systems you interact with every single day. So what's the real difference between a truck, a semi, and a big rig? The easy answer is that they're just different names for the same thing. But the easy answer is wrong. The real answer involves a design decision made before the interstate highway system existed, a logistics philosophy borrowed from railroads, and a Latin prefix that was hiding the truth in plain sight the whole time. By the end of this, you'll never hear the word semi the same way again. Let's start with the word everyone thinks they understand. Most people, if you push them, would tell you that semi is short for semi-large or semi-truck, meaning a truck that's semi-serious, semi-industrial, just a compact way of saying that big commercial vehicle. Some people think it has something to do with how the engine is set up. Some think it's just an abbreviation with no real meaning. Here is what it actually means. Semi is a Latin prefix. It means half. A semi-trailer is, legally and structurally, half a trailer. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, the agency that governs every commercial vehicle on United States roads, defines a semi-trailer in 49 CFR, section 393.5, as a trailer not equipped with a front axle. That is the official definition, not equipped with a front axle. Set a semi-trailer on flat ground, unhook it from everything, and the front end drops. It cannot stand on its own. It is, by design and by law, an incomplete vehicle. What everyone calls a semi-truck is actually two entirely separate machines. There is the tractor, the cab, the engine, the driver's seat, the entire powered unit. And there is the semi-trailer, the long box behind it, with wheels only at the rear. They are connected by a coupling device called a fifth wheel. They can be separated in under a minute. So every time you said a semi just cut me off, you were technically using the word to describe the trailer, the incomplete half, the part without an engine. But the obvious question is, why would anyone build a trailer without a front axle? That sounds less like a design choice and more like something that got forgotten on the factory floor. It wasn't forgotten. And the answer, the real answer, is not about the trailer at all. It is about what happens to the tractor while the trailer is sitting still. The connection between a tractor and a semi-trailer is called the fifth wheel. Not because it has anything to do with a fifth wheel on the vehicle. It does not. The name comes from carriage design, where a pivoting plate on the front axle of a horse-drawn wagon allowed the front wheels to turn under the body of the carriage. In modern trucking, the fifth wheel is a heavy steel plate mounted over the rear axle of the tractor. It has a V-shaped slot in the middle. The front of the semi-trailer carries a kingpin. It is a 2-inch diameter steel pin governed by SAE International Standard J133. When the driver backs the tractor under the trailer, the kingpin slides into the slot and locks automatically. The connection takes seconds. That pivot point, the kingpin locked into the fifth wheel, is what allows a 53-foot trailer to navigate a turn. The tractor and trailer articulate around the kingpin, bending in the middle. That is the only reason a vehicle nearly 70 feet long end to end can make a corner. The missing front axle is not a flaw. The missing front axle is the solution. Replace the front axle with a pivot point on the tractor, and the whole system can flex, can turn, and most critically, can separate on demand. Separation is the key word. A Class 8 tractor costs between $130,000 and $200,000 new. A 53-foot dry van trailer costs between $25,000 and $55,000. The expensive part is the engine, the transmission, the electronics, the cab. The cheap part is the box on wheels. So the entire design philosophy encodes one idea: the expensive half should never wait for the cheap half. In practice, it does not. A driver pulls into a distribution center, drops the loaded trailer at a dock door, hooks to a preloaded outbound trailer, and leaves. The tractor is already 200 miles down the highway. The trailer sits at the dock for 8 hours being unloaded and reloaded, without the engine waiting for a single pallet. Major carriers operate trailer pools, where trailers outnumber tractors by ratios of 3 to 1, specifically so that tractors are rarely stationary. But this raises the real question: why did the trailer have to be semi in the first place? Why not build a full trailer with a front axle and a rear axle, completely independent, that any vehicle could tow? The answer takes you somewhere unexpected. It takes you to a competition most people have completely forgotten about. Here is where it gets genuinely strange. Before the interstate highway system existed, long-distance freight in America moved by rail. Trucks were local. If a manufacturer in Detroit needed to ship goods to Los Angeles, the goods went into a rail car. When the rail car arrived, workers unloaded it onto a platform, transferred the freight to local trucks, and made final deliveries. 3 separate handlings. 3 opportunities for delay, damage, and cost. The solution the railroad industry developed in the 1950s was called piggybacking, known as TOFC for trailer on flat car. The concept was simple: load the entire highway trailer onto a railroad flat car, move the flat car across the country. At the destination, drive a tractor under the trailer and pull it away for final delivery. The trailer itself was never opened in transit, loaded once at origin, unloaded once at destination. Every intermediate handling eliminated. But this only worked if the trailer could be detached from its power source and reattached to a different one. A trailer integrated into a single unit truck could not be placed on a flat car and driven away by a different tractor on the other end. The semi-trailer design, with a detachable kingpin, no front axle, and the ability to transfer from tractor to flat car to crane to tractor, made the whole system possible. The trailer became the container. The tractor and the locomotive and the crane became interchangeable prime movers. Then the Federal Aid Highway Act of 1956 built 41,000 miles of standardized interstate infrastructure. Trailers grew from 28 feet to 40 feet to 53 feet. The Motor Carrier Act of 1980 deregulated trucking, allowing carriers to set their own routes and rates. Within a decade, road freight overtook rail for most manufactured goods. A design built to cooperate with railroads ended up displacing them. But here's what you need to sit with for a second. That principle, a cargo box that disconnects from its power source and can be moved by any vehicle in the system, did not stay in trucking. You have already seen it today. The proof is sitting on a dock somewhere right now, in a metal box that looks nothing like a trailer. The shipping container on a cargo vessel operates on the same underlying logic as the semi-trailer. It locks into fittings on the ship's deck, cargo bound to the prime mover and releasable on demand. And at the port, a crane lifts it off and sets it onto a chassis, a wheeled frame with no engine, no cab, no cargo walls, just a skeletal platform with a 5th wheel mounting point. Tractor backs under it and drives it away. The container never changes. The ship, the crane, and the tractor change 4 times in a single journey, meaning the prime mover is what changes. The ISO standard container dimensions, 20 feet and 40 feet, were set in the 1960s specifically to be compatible with ship holds, rail flat car widths, and highway trailer dimensions at the same time. The same box, unmodified, crosses every system. This is why a package from a factory in Guangzhou can travel inside the same physical container from a Chinese warehouse onto a ship, onto a crane, onto a rail, flat car, onto a truck without ever being opened until the delivery driver hands it to you. The 18-wheeler wheel count connects to the same thread. The Federal Bridge Formula, codified in 23 U.S.C. Section 127, limits how much weight any single axle can place on a road surface. 20,000 pounds for a single axle, 34,000 pounds for a tandem pair, 80,000 pounds maximum for the whole combination vehicle. Enough axles, spread over enough distance, distribute the load within legal limits. The Bridge Formula shaped the axle count. The axle count shaped the trailer design. The trailer design required the semi-configuration. The road and the vehicle are one engineered system, and the word semi is the name for the hinge between them. So here's where you actually end. You have called it a semi your whole life. Now you know what that word means. A truck is any motor vehicle built to carry cargo. A tractor is the powered cab unit designed exclusively to pull a trailer, not a standalone truck in the traditional sense. A semi-trailer is literally half a trailer, no front axle, dependent on the tractor's fifth wheel to complete itself as a vehicle. A tractor trailer, the combination the whole country calls a semi, is two separate machines, engineered to separate so the expensive one never waits. And a big rig is just the American colloquial for the whole arrangement. But the real answer was never the terminology. It was what the terminology reveals. The word semi has been in the name of the vehicle your entire life, describing its exact structural reality. Half a trailer built around a pivot point, designed to let go. A $150,000 tractor and a $40,000 half trailer connected by a kingpin, descended from horse-drawn carriages, built on a logistics philosophy that started with putting trailers on railroad flat cars, scaled into a global container system that moves almost everything you own. The answer was in the word the whole time. And if you think a missing front axle changed American freight, wait until we get into how a standardized 40-foot metal box became the single engineering decision that made the modern global economy possible.